I'm a composer and a musician, and last summer I was invited by a colleague to travel with him to teach at a summer music program where he's been working for the past 20 years. This is called the Al-Khamanjadi School of Music, and it's located in the West Bank of Palestine. As soon as he invited me, I knew that I wanted to go, even though I'd never been there, and I wasn't really sure just what I was getting myself into. But I trusted my gut instinct and started to learn a little bit more about the school. It was founded by a man named Ramzi, a Palestinian who grew up during the First Intifada, a period of extreme violence which really marred his childhood. You see here a picture of him as a young boy. A photojournalist captured this, and there he's throwing rocks at Israeli soldiers. He experienced a childhood of a lot of anger and fear and violence until he turned 15 and he was given a viola, which changed his life. He began to study music passionately and turn away from violence and began to use music as a tool of peace, protest, and expression for his and other Palestinians' voices. He eventually went back to Ramallah, his hometown, and built the Al-Khamanjadi School of Music, where I was headed. So, on a very hot day last August, we arrived at the Tel Aviv airport with some other colleagues here from the States to teach music. And we headed off to the hills of Ramallah. I was scheduled to teach piano and flute lessons as a part of their orchestra rehearsals, but just a few days before the trip, I had an idea to maybe compose music with the students. The school had not offered a collaborative composition workshop before, and I had never worked in this context, and certainly not with so many students. So we didn't really know what we were getting into, but we were excited to find out what might happen. So rehearsals started as soon as we arrived, and those were the orchestra rehearsals. But then just after that, they took me to a room with a number of other students to begin our composition workshop. The students and I, we looked at each other with excitement and a little bit of nervousness because we didn't know what we would be able to create together in only 4 days before the performance. So I jumped right in with some improvisation activities and some fun rhythmic games in order to demonstrate that there were no wrong notes. There would be no mistakes in our improvisation and composition. And so slowly I began to see that the walls of shyness fell down, and we became more cohesive as a group of composers. They began to show me their musical traditions, and I realized that this was an amazing opportunity to hear their voices and learn about their culture in a way that I wouldn't have been able to if we had just been doing typical orchestra rehearsals. On the second day, this young woman, she brought in her violin, and she shared that she wanted to incorporate a melody into our group composition that had been passed down in her family. So I was hearing melodies and songs that I wouldn't have been able to if we hadn't had that opportunity to share together. So each day we grew a little bit closer and more cohesive, and a piece of music really began to take form. On the last day, however, we listened to the piece of music and we all kind of felt that it was incomplete. It just wasn't yet there. And up until then, we had been telling a story through music about a peaceful Palestinian village. So when I asked the students, what do you think happens next? How can we transition this music? One of the young women stood up and she said, I think we should transition into sounds of violence because nothing here stays peaceful for very long. So this was an incredibly powerful moment that opened up a dialogue and a conversation about issues that I don't think would have possibly come up if we hadn't been in a creative space of collaboration. So it was finally time for our performance on the last day, and all of the teachers from the school came together, the students, and even Ramzi, the founder. So I'd like to play for you two short clips of our composition. You're going to hear those a short excerpt of the sounds of violence that they depicted on their instruments, and then how they chose to end the piece by singing words that they told me depicted and described what music meant to them with the words, "It's my soul." performance was finished, there were a few dry eyes in the room, and we all felt really proud of what we had created in only 4 days together. After the concert, the teaching team went out to dinner, and this is Ramsey, the founder. He sat down next to me and he said, would you consider coming here to teach after you graduate from Harvard School of Education? So as soon as he invited me, I knew in my heart that I had to come back there. This September, I'll be moving there to work full-time, and I'm a little nervous and very excited. I have a lot of questions, but I'm again trusting in the beauty that comes from giving yourself fully without knowing what you might get back. Thank you.